This is the second episode of the video series about the life of Abraham. If you haven't watched the first episode yet, make sure to watch it beforehand. After spending some time in Egypt, Abram moved on first toward the Negev, and then all the way to Bethel, where he had previously built an altar to the Lord and called on his name. It's worth noting that by this time, Abram had amassed considerable wealth, which back then meant a large number of livestock and servants. Similarly, Lot had also acquired great wealth in Egypt, so they could no longer live in the same place. As a result, Abram's and Lot's herdsmen started to quarrel. To avoid any form of conflict between them, they decided to part ways. Lot settled around the Jordan River, camping as far as Sodom. However, Sodom was inhabited by very wicked people, which eventually led to serious consequences. After these events, the Lord said to Abram, "Lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. All the land that you see, I will give to you and your descendants forever. I will make your descendants like the dust of the earth. If anyone can count the dust of the earth, then your descendants can also be counted. Go! Walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you." God had already mentioned this to Abram, but he now emphasized it clearly. How many descendants he would give him, not to mention the entire land of Canaan. After this, Abram settled in the oaks of Mamre, which were in Hebron. There, he built an altar to the Lord, honoring him and giving thanks. At that time, great battles began in the valley of Siddim, which claimed many victims, including Sodom, where everything and everyone was taken away, including Lot, who was living in Sodom at the time. However, when a fugitive told Abram what had happened, he immediately armed 318 young men born in his household, and with them he defeated the enemy, reclaiming Lot, all his possessions, the city's people, and all that belonged to them. For this victory, the king of Sodom came out to meet Abram in the Valley of the Kings. At the same time, Melchizedek, another king who was also a priest of the Most High God, also came out bringing bread and wine to him, and then blessed him, and the Lord, because he delivered Abram's enemies into his hands. This clearly shows us that, although Abram did not have a mighty army, God was with him. And when God is with us, it doesn't matter who stands against us. He can give us the victory if he wills. Thus, Abram was able to achieve victory only because of God. After the events where the king of Sodom wanted to give something to Abram refused to accept it, so that the king could not say that it was he, and not God, who made Abram rich. Following these events, we gain insight into Abram's faith. When God promised to reward and protect him, Abram could not imagine how this could happen, as he had no children, and believed that everything he owned would be inherited by his servants. But the Lord reassured him that it would not be his servants who would inherit his wealth, but his own children. Moreover, God confirmed that Abram would have as many descendants as the stars in the sky. This, however, was not the end. God also promised Abram that he would give the land of Canaan to his descendants, describing its boundaries from river to river. Furthermore, God foretold to Abram that his descendants would be oppressed by another nation for 400 years, a nation not yet identified at that time. After this period, they would come out of that land with great wealth. However, only the fourth generation of his descendants would enter the promised land, as their ancestors had sinned against God and would be punished for it. Finally, he told him that he would die in old age and return to his ancestors. Here it refers to his previous generations who begot Abram, and that he would join those who had reached heaven from there, thus sealing the covenant between God and Abram once and for all. To be continued.